Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Kendrick Perkins names one trade target who can help revive Warriors. The Golden State Warriors have entered a retooling era. It's not a rebuild. They still have Stephen Curry and Draymond Green with Steve Kerr at the helm, but they lost Klay Thompson and they're coming off a disappointing 2023-24 season. The Warriors have made a few off-season moves so far, but there's one target. Former NBA player turned ESPN analyst Kendrick Perkins believes they should go after. Perkins thinks a Brandon Ingram trade would help the Warriors regain contender status. I would like to see Brandon Ingram because we know the Pelicans are listening to offers. Go to the Golden State Warriors. Perkins said, I think Brandon Ingram alongside Draymond Green and Steph Curry not only would do wonders for him but would do wonders for the Golden State Warriors. This is a young man that has proven that he can go out there and average 25 a night. He's a boo kid, get a most important position in the game, and I think putting him alongside Stephen Curry and Draymond Green would put the Warriors back in the thick of things, especially in the Western Conference. While chatter has certainly circulated regarding the Pelicans listening to offers on a possible Brandon Ingram trade, if the Warriors were to jump in the mix, a potential trade would almost certainly cost them some of their young players such as Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podmski, and possibly Moses Moody would have to be heading back to the Pelicans in a potential trade. Brandon Ingram is entering the final year of his contract with the Pelicans and could hit unrestricted free agency in the 2025 off-season. Now Ingram and the Pelicans could ultimately reach in an agreement on a contract extension, but the two sides are reportedly not close in negotiations. That has reportedly led to the Pelicans in search of a potential trade partner what would be willing to accept to Ingram's contract demands. Ingram has been mentioned as a possible trade target for the Warriors, but as mentioned it's going to cost them part of their core. The Warriors were reportedly unwilling to include John and Kuminga in a potential Paul George deal with the Los Angeles Clippers, which is why those talks fell apart. As per Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, Ingram was the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft by the Los Angeles Lakers. He is entering his 6th season with the Pelicans after being traded by the Lakers in the Anthony Davis deal. Ingram appeared in 64 games for the Pelicans this season at a little over 32 minutes per game. He averaged 20.8 points, 5.1 rebounds and 5.7 assists with splits of 49.2% shooting from the field, 35.5% shooting from the three-point line and 80.1% shooting from the free throw line. What we learned as Plowden's tier continues in Warriors win vs Cavs. The Warriors were in a hole before the opening tip Wednesday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers, with the team deciding to shut down Brandon Podmski and Tracy Jackson Davis for the remainder of this year's NBA Summer League slate. Yet that didn't stop the Warriors from beating the Cavs 96-85 at Cox Pavilion in Las Vegas. The win improved the Warriors to an undefeated 6-0 this summer. Coach Anthony Vine's team dominated nearly every facet of the game. They took 11 fewer shots but made 3 more total than Cleveland. Both teams made 13 threes. However, the Warriors were the more accurate team. The Warriors also made 5 more free throws than the Cavs, had 10 more rebounds for more assists, and were called for 5 fewer fouls. Their only downside was committing 20 turnovers and allowing the Cavs to total 13 steals. Down Podzamski and Jackson Davis, Daquan Plowden, Pat Spencer and Jackson Rowe combined to score 42 points. Here are 3 takeaways from the Warriors' 6th consecutive win. Plowden already had proved himself enough this summer, agreeing to a 2-way contract with the Warriors on Wednesday. His long road here isn't going to stop because of one major step the Warriors were down their top two players, but Plound remained in the starting lineup. The Summer League standout continued to show why he belongs. Plound in the first half was a +11, scoring 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting and made 3 catch-and-shoot three-pointers. Plound then threw down a huge dunk on the Warriors' opening possession of the second half. In 25 minutes Plound scored 16 points on 6 of 11 shooting and made 4 of his 9 three-point attempts. Plound also had 7 rebounds and was a +12. Maybe the Warriors keep trotting Plound out there. They really don't need to. He has proven his point. Warriors and Jazz probably have path to Lauri Markkanen and trade, but what is the middle ground? Lauri Markkanen will know where he's starting the season one way or another by August 6th. On that date he becomes eligible to renegotiate and extend his contract with the Utah Jazz for a substantial raise, and the timing gives him quite a bit of control over the proceedings if he does indeed resign. This off-season he would not be eligible to be traded for 6 months. 6 months after August 6th is February 6th, which is the exact date of the 2024 trade deadline. If Markkanen wants to remain with the Jazz for at least another year, all he needs to do is wait one extra day until August 7th to resign in Utah as an impending free agent. The Jazz are more or less resigned to offering Markkanen whatever terms he dictates. He's too valuable to risk losing for nothing. If he does want to play elsewhere, he can refuse to resign at all. Of course, doing so would mean leaving quite a bit of money on the table. While Markkanen can resign with other teams, he can only renegotiate and extend with a team with the cap space to bump up his 2024-25 salary. The Jazz are the only team that can get him to market rate this summer. If his goal is to get paid, he signs the moment he can and resolves to sort out the destination later. If Utah is not interested in paying him, well, it had better find a trade before August 6th, because if that date comes and goes without a deal, Jazz lose a substantial amount of leverage in trade talks. All of this is to say that we have something of a soft deadline for this off-season's biggest trade target to get moved. In a few weeks we'll know where Markkanen is playing. Of course, the existence of that deadline also gives all parties involved a set timeline in which to negotiate, and it certainly seems as though they are using it. The Golden State Warriors by all accounts are the most aggressive. In and suit to the Athletic Shams Chirania reports that the Warriors have discussed an offer around Moses Moody, multiple first-round picks, multiple pick swaps and multiple second-round picks. That's not enough to make a deal, and the Warriors probably know that, but the Jazz are reportedly asking for all of that stuff plus Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podmski. This is obviously too much, and the Jazz probably know that too. Both sides have justifiable stances here. Golden State could credibly argue that there is no point in trading for Markkanen if they can't keep Podmski and Kuminga. The whole goal of making such a move would be to compete for a 5th championship, while the 36-year-old Stephen Curry still can. That might be 3 more years, it might be 1, it might even be none. Even with Markkanen, they'd be far from Western Conference favorites. It's entirely reasonable of them to believe that they cannot afford to give away good players. Their path to contending with Markkanen is cleanest if he only costs them a matching salary, which is conveniently minimal at Markkanen's low $18 million cap figure and an abundance of draft capital that isn't helping them win now. The Jazz frankly could care less if the Warriors win right now. The entire goal of trading for future picks belonging to a team built around a 36-year-old is to benefit when they start losing later. This is the single biggest reason they want Podmski and Kuminga. Yes, they are good players that could help the Jazz down the line, but they are also good young players that could help the Warriors win down the line. When Golden State is sending draft picks to Utah. The Jazz want picks from a depleted Warriors team, not a young renewed one built around Marinin, Kuminga and Podmski in their primes. Those two players aren't just valuable assets in isolation, they impact the value of everything else the Warriors have to trade, so it makes sense for both sides to posture. At this point they have until August 6th to compromise. Why make your real offer before then? There's a pretty obvious middle ground here too. If Utah wants both of Golden State's best young players and the Warriors want to keep both, why not just resolve all of this with one of them? That answers one question but raises another. Which one? And you fan, what do you think of the situation of Lauri Markkanen? Leave your opinion in the comments.